Hey, what's up, everyone? James from Junkyard Fox. Thank you so much for joining me. And today we're going to be reviewing this bad boy right here. This is the Thrunite Defender Flashlight, and I have been testing this guy out going on 6 months at this point. Now, a flashlight is useful all throughout the year. But once you're in the winter months and the nights are getting longer, they're getting colder, a flashlight just jumps a little bit more in importance. So today we're going to talk about the pros, the cons, and everything in between. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. Let's get started. The specs for the Thrunite Defender, the dimensions are 118 millimeters by 29 millimeters by 22 millimeters. The weight is 108 grams. It is USB-C rechargeable. Here's the little flap where you charge it. And it does have a battery level indicator, LEDs up here, all these fours. So as you can surmise, once you have it fully charged, it's going to have all four lit up. As it starts dropping to 75%, it drops down to 3, 50% down to 2, 25% down to 1. Let me go ahead and turn mine on, and you'll see that mine should have all four because I charged it right before leaving the house. There we go. And also you can see that it does have a rotator switch right here. And there's 4 options. So the first one here on the very edge, and it's hard to tell right now in this light, but it is the lockout mode. So you can have peace of mind when you put this away in your vehicle, in your haversack, whatever the case may be. You have it turned on, you have it on that mode right there, and it is not turning on whatsoever. So, you know, nothing's going to bump into it and turn it on, and when you need it, it's drained. So there we go. Move it down to the second one, and that's going to be your traditional flashlight mode. So, of course, you turn it on, and you can cycle low, medium, high, double click for turbo, triple click for strobe, all that good stuff. Hold it down, and it'll be for moonlight, or firefly, I'm sorry. So just the traditional flashlight right there. And we'll get more into the details of, you know, the lumens and all that later on. And then moving on to the third option, and that's going to be a laser pointer. And it doesn't look very impressive here, but this thing goes very far. It is really cool. I find that very impressive. Look at that. And so this is great for signaling. It is great for, you know, nonverbal communication. Say you're out on a hunting trip with some buddies and you want to tell them, you know, over here is where they're going to be at. Something like that, right? Also, you know, if you just live in the city and you're a school teacher, or, you know, you work in an office setting and you have presentations and, you know, narrow down what you're trying to show people. So I think that's useful for just boring everyday life right there. So even as something as simple as playing with my cats, I use this and they love it. So I think that's just an extra use for your flashlight. And then moving down to the last one, and that's going to be your UV light. There we go. And so it may not sound very useful as of now. Look, something's shining over there, blue over there. But keep in mind, I'm often in caves and in canyons and stuff like that. And you know me, I hate centipedes. And so this is a quick way to find centipedes and scorpions. Or you just enjoy finding bugs late at night. That's really fun to do too. This is going to help you with that. Not only that, but if you just live in the city and you're a bartender, this is a quick way to check if there's like some counterfeit bills that you're being given, stuff like that. So it may not sound immediately very useful, but it definitely does add to the versatility. This, and of course the laser pointer. I mean, I think these are game changers for an EDC flashlight. It also comes with a sturdy, pretty deep carry pocket clip. So of course you can put this in your pants pocket. I often put it on the side sleeve of my haversack, and it is a double-sided clip. So of course, in case you needed your hands free, you can put this on, you know, the brim of your ball cap and use your light. It also has a magnetized back, somewhat. So I've mentioned this many times. My EDC lights have to have a magnetic tail cap. This one is rounded off at the edges. I wish it wasn't like that. And it's also kind of hefty. So it's not gonna be the most dependable when it comes to that. And it's a little aggravating. You just got to learn to finagle it. This is what I've learned, is to do it like at an angle like this, like 45-degree angle, and it'll work fine. So I'm changing the tire in my vehicle, or something's wrong, right? And I'm under the hood of my truck. You can turn this on and it'll hold it at that angle. But usually any other angle, and it starts struggling. So, I mean, I'll give them points for effort, but I wish this was just straight up squared and not these little edged out corners. So I moved to a darker area so we can cycle through the flashlight modes. And here's the flashlight. I don't know how much is coming through on camera. My hand may look blue, and that's the light reflecting from my microphone because it has an LED light on it. So it may help with visibility a little bit. I'm not sure. With that being said, let's go ahead and cycle through the modes. So first things first, I have to move it to the flashlight setting on the rotary switch. And then from there, I'm going to hold it down for 1 second. And that takes you to Firefly mode. And I am a big fan of a good Firefly mode. So you want something very subtle, but it's still usable. And this is 1 lumen, and it'll last you 17 days. And so this isn't ideal for traversing through the wilderness at night. You could barely see about 6-7 feet in front of you. But this is the perfect light if you needed to rummage through your backpack at 3-4 in the morning for your charger and people are asleep in the tent. Or you got to wake up at 4 in the morning and put on your boots and you don't want to wake the kids, that kind of stuff. This is a great light. It's not obtrusive, but it's enough for it to be useful. And I like that. So a good Firefly mode, once again, it is 1 lumen and it can last up to 17 days. So hold it down for 1 second. And let's go ahead and move on to low setting. So this is the low mode. And the low mode is 20 lumens and it can last you 59 hours. So 20 lumens isn't ideal for the wilderness, I would say. It's not your preferred mode. Say if you're out hiking and the sun went down before you got back to your vehicle, but it'll do. I would rather use this in a pinch than be using the battery on my cell phone from using the flashlight. So, you could see about 25, 30 feet in front of you. Once again, not my preferred mode. I wish there was something stronger in that situation, but if this is all I had, this is good enough. And so pretty decent. Once again, 20 lumens. And once again, when you're in the city, say you're like in your neighborhood and you got to take out the trash or something like that, rummage through your garage for something, 20 lumens is fine. It's perfectly serviceable. So let's move on to medium. And medium's going to be 95 lumens and it will last you 9 hours and 30 minutes. So there we go. And once again, you can have this up to 9 hours and 30 minutes, and this is a 95 lumens. So this is definitely getting where I'm a lot more comfortable in the wilderness setting, It just illuminates a lot more, especially out here where a lot of uneven ground and there's, stickers and snakes and stuff like that. So this is a really good Goldilocks zone when it comes to lighting for the wilderness. So for medium, not too bad. And I will say that I really like the wide flood of this light. It's not too narrow. I like a wide flood, especially, in the higher settings. So moving on from medium, let's go ahead and hold it down. And there's our high. And high provides a lot more confidence traversing through such a rough terrain with, uneven ground and sharp things everywhere and creepy crawlers. So the high setting is 420 lumens. And will last you 2.5 hours. So, of course, common sense dictates, the more you use the stronger lighting, the more you're going to be eating through your battery. So you don't want to overdo this light too much. But, in case you hear some rummaging outside of your campsite or something like that, this is the light that you're going to want to see just because it provides a lot more illumination. But let's go ahead and double click this so we can get to turbo. And turbo is 1,600 lumens, and what a wide berth of light. This is a really impressive turbo. It's not the strongest turbo, of course. There's a lot more turbo modes in other flashlights that are like 2,000, stuff like that. So it's not going to be the most overpowering, but it gets the job done. And once again, that wide berth of light provides me a lot of confidence. And the max distance is 139 meters. But after a few minutes, it will drop to 450 lumens, lasting 1 hour and 53 minutes. And so, as I mentioned earlier, of course, common sense dictates that, you're going to be using up a lot of your battery using the stronger modes. In fact, I can already feel the flashlight getting pretty warm. So, not something you want to be using often. And then let's go ahead and triple click. 1, 2, 3. And here we have the strobe mode. And so this is for emergencies in case I got stranded somewhere and, there's a team looking for me or whatever the case may be. We got that, or maybe disorient some some animal that's being, getting a little too close for comfort. I don't know. I personally don't use strobe mode much, but I'm sure when you need it, doesn't hurt to have it. So there we go. And these are our settings. So once again, hold it down for Firefly, 1 lumen, hold it down for low, medium, high, double click for turbo, triple click for strobe. And now let's move on to the other settings. So moving the lever to the side, and here we have the little laser pointer, and this thing's really impressive. I tried to look online as much as I could on their website or on the manual that it came with, just how far the laser's able to go, and I couldn't find it, but it is very impressive. I mean, it can go very far. And so once again, I can only imagine, nonverbal communication, you're telling your buddy, you're out hunting for deer or wild hogs, and you could just tell them, hey, I think I see some movement on this side. Now, can that get the attention of the animal? Yeah, but it's a lot more subtle than if you put turbo mode on your flashlight. You're just going to spook them away. So I think something like this, just for a couple of seconds, just like right there, and then turn it off. That's enough. I don't think that's enough to spook them too much, or at least for too long that they'll come back. Same thing if you're night fishing and, hey, I heard a splash and it's coming from this direction. Same thing, stuff like that. And once again, it just goes so far. Okay, now moving on to the last setting, which is the UV light. And this UV light is very, very useful if you like looking for bugs during the summer night, stuff like that. It's really cool. Check out my little cheat sheet. So this is my notepad. It's a pretty new notepad, and look how it glows. Really interesting. Check out my Yuko light. It's not even on, but it shines blue. Oh, I heard something over here. The little fungus here is glowing. Something else is glowing in that. You see that? Not quite sure what to make of it. It may be like the shed skin of a bug, maybe like a shed skin of a millipede or something. But interesting stuff. So final thoughts on the Thrunite Defender Flashlight. Let's start with the pros first. So the quality that you've come to expect from Thrunite, expect it here. You got everything from your Firefly mode to your turbo mode, everything in between, USB-C rechargeable, a really tough little pocket clip that doesn't pop off easily because it's bolted down, and a magnetic tail cap. Not the strongest of magnetic tail caps. They need to work on that, but I'll give them points for trying. I like the added benefit of the UV light and the laser pointer. Now, are these two added benefits going to make you throw away all your older flashlights? Probably not, but I do like the versatility. So as I mentioned before, these are added benefits. A couple of weeks ago, I camped in a cave. And if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you know that I despise centipedes. And so when I was camping in that cave, I was a little uneasy. And so I used that UV lights to search around the nooks and crannies, see if I found any centipedes or scorpions. There wasn't any. It's already too cold for them. So I slept just a little easier that night. As far as the laser pointer, of course, this isn't going to be, life or death. It's fine. But once again, for those boring everyday things that you do in life, that's what EDC is about. So, if you have a PowerPoint presentation that you got to show your employees, or you got a school assignment in college, this is going to help with that. As well as, if you're signaling or trying to speak to your friend during a hunting trip or fishing trip at night, hey, they're over here, something like that. It really helps for that as well. And all that comes down to 60 bucks. For all that you're getting here, 60 bucks is a hell of a deal. That's pretty damn good. So I'll have the link down below if you're interested. I know there's other companies that do a similar model like Olight and stuff like that, and someone's going to ask me how they compare. I don't know, guys. I don't own those models. I don't have any experience with them, so why lie to you? But this is the only one that I've been testing, and I've been really enjoying. As far as the cons, the negatives, there's not really any negatives. They're just more like nitpicks. So first things first is it's quite large for me. My lights that I usually carry on my person, on my pocket, are about half this length. And so carrying this during the summer months was just so unenjoyable that I just thought I wouldn't carry it on my person. I would carry it on my haversack, and that's fine. Eventually, I had to make it a point to carry this on my person every day, and I eventually got used to it. So it's not, it's not overly heavy or anything. It's just I'm not used to it. But once again, nitpick. Second nitpick is I would say that because they added the benefit of the UV light and the laser pointer, there's only so much that they can add onto the onboard computer, and they got to compromise. And so when you look at all these other light settings, like the flashlight settings, they're a little on the weak side. A flashlight of this size, 1,600 lumens on the turbo mode is a little weak. Normally something this size, you easily can get 2,000 lumens, 2,300 lumens. So it's a little bit lower. But once again, you got to compromise. You got to bring those things back so you can add these other things onto the onboard computer. If you had the UV light and the laser pointer and something with 3,000 lumens, this thing would be easily twice as thick, and who's going to carry that? So I understand what they were doing and what they had to do. So just keep that in mind. If you live off-grid in Alaska and you don't have to do PowerPoint presentations or look in caves for scorpions, then this is not the light that you need. I would suggest something else. But once again, if you're like me, you live in the city, you do city things, and then you go to the wilderness and you do wilderness things, this is a good compromise right here. And that's about it, folks. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Big thank you to Thrunite for sending this to me a couple months back, and I apologize it took so long to get this video up, but here we are. And I'll have the link down below if you're interested in purchasing one now that the holidays are just around the corner and now that the nights are getting longer. And so this is going to come in handy. And with that being said, folks, I'll see you guys next week with another video. Now go outside and get your boots dirty.